Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about season 2, episode 5 of FX's Dave, entitled Bar Mitzvah. I thought this was an incredible episode, probably my favorite of the season. You know, episode 3 was wild, but I think there was so much going on in this one that I think had a whole lot of tension and depth that was both obvious and below the surface. And this show does a great job of balancing with like completely extreme humor, but with some really emotional and tense scenes as well. And in this episode in particular, there was a lot of tension, there was a lot of stress, and a lot of that kind of like played just beneath the surface. And I thought that was really cool. Like if you look at the scene where Dave and Els play basketball, like that scene. If you were someone who didn't watch the show and you walked into the room while somebody was watching that scene, you would just look at that and be like, yeah, there's two people hooping and there's a lot of tension here. But there's so much more going on there than just like two guys who are just having a passionate basketball game. Like there's underlying animosity that is being put forth through the basketball game that they're putting on each other. And there was a lot going on there. And I really enjoyed that scene. But what I thought was the best about this episode was what they did with Gata. Because again, I think at this point, Gata's probably the best character on the show. And when I say the best character, he's not necessarily the funniest or anything like that, but he's the most well-rounded. Like he's got the funny stuff, but there's so much complexity is the best way to put it. There's so much complexity to Gata's character. And if you were not scared for Gata in this episode, you haven't been paying attention. Because like Gata's had a lot of really bad luck, and it seems like he internalizes it so much, he doesn't let it out, and he lets it get to him, but he doesn't talk about it. And he's walking around always trying to do what's best for Dave, and even that shows through in the scene where he's trying to get a charger for his phone. Like that whole scene was tense because as a viewer and as a fan of the show, you understand what Gata's been through up to this point. And this felt like it was just going to turn into another situation where things were going to escalate in a really bad way for him. And for ultimately for this to end up in what I think will probably be a win for him I felt really good for that character. And that's the sign of a good show, when you can feel tense for a character, nervous for a character, genuinely happy for a character. And this show does that with all of their characters. And it's really remarkable what they do. Even if you look at Mike, Mike has been someone who I feel like in season 1 was kind of an afterthought. And he's still kind of an afterthought now. But what they're doing with him, what they've done with him in a couple episodes now has been really interesting. You look at episode, I don't remember which episode it was, but the episode where he was essentially left at home during his birthday. Like Dave wasn't there, and then Dave calls him real late. And I was saying on this video, it was the episode it was the crazy episode because it was called The Observer, because the guy put the note on the trash can. And I said in the video for that episode, I'm like, Mike's reaction seemed way over the top. Like, why is he like filming and doing all this, like, I'm gonna get you canceled type shit? It's like, okay, that seems like a bit of an overreaction. But then we realized that it was his birthday and none of his people were there for him. And he's internalizing this stuff too, in a way that where you can't tell anything's going on with him. Whereas Gata kind of wears his emotions on his sleeve. And then this week, Mike's making up a family, like making up a job, just so he can connect with someone and he can connect with this father figure. I believe this person to be a father figure to him, or not a father figure to him as in he looks at him as one, but he aspires to have that kind of influence in his life, and he sees the potential for that with this guy hosting this bar mitzvah. And watching him just lie and like make up this family, make up this job, like I'm so BLM. It's like you almost feel when you see what's going on, you realize what's going on. You feel bad for Mike. It's like he's so lonely and isolated to where he will make up an entire life for himself to a stranger just to have someone to talk to. And I thought they've done incredible work with Mike, and I feel like that's being slept on this season because I haven't seen anyone talk about it. What happened with him in episode 3, what happened with him in this episode. I don't know. I feel like they're doing a great job behind the scenes with Mike, and it's not resonating with the fandom as I think it should. But the stuff with Gata really is. So talking about Gata a little bit more, he leaves from this girl's house. His phone is dead. His car has been towed. He doesn't even know her last name to ask her to buzz him in. He walks to a gas station to get a charger. The gas station guy won't even let him plug it in outside. And now by this point, Gata has every right to be pissed the fuck off. You letting this homeless guy sit right here, right next to the outlet, but you won't let me plug in my phone to charge it for a few minutes? Like, what the fuck is that? But Gata's such a good person at his core. You know, he's being polite. He's being as unintimidating as possible, and he's still getting shit on. And it's like, you know, the gas station thing was irritating. He asked the people that pull up if he can use their car charger. Of course, they're not going to let some random guy use their car charger. But it's like, at that point, you just feel like, can Gata get a fucking win? Like, he just needs to charge his fucking phone. Like, come on. And then he starts walking down the street, and he sees as soon as he saw these lights on his house, I'm like, oh my God, please at least knock on the door first and ask. Don't just plug in your phone where their lights are at. You're going to turn the lights off. Somebody's going to see you. I'm like, please don't let Gata get arrested just trying to get to this goddamn party. But, you know, it works out. He gets to the tow place, and he has to sit outside. And it's like, you just feel so bad for him. It's like, can this guy catch a fucking break? Earlier in the episode, he had to swallow his pride and ask Dave for money. And that should have been a situation where Dave turns around like, whatever the fuck you need, you got it. Like, Dave does not, I don't think, realizes just how good Gata is to him and for him. And I feel like it's interesting dynamic that Dave is concerned about his relationship with Els. He's not really paying too close attention to his relationship with Gata. We could see Gata having problems with that, struggling with that. And then we could see Dave having problems with the situation with Els. And I love this show for its extreme humor, but the ability to do what I just described, like build these complex relationships and help, I guess, grow characters to the point of like, we start to feel for them. We start to understand their motivations so that when things happen on screen, we can understand the internal motivations that prompted those things. And it's really great writing, and this show's doing incredible work. I mentioned the tension during the basketball game I thought was great. The tension between Dave and Els I also think is great, but like not in the same way. It frustrates me, and I feel that that's great because, again, it's giving me a natural, visceral reaction to this. And that's just a sign of great writing where I actually care. I'm sitting here like, what the fuck is Elle's problem? And drop it in the comments if you know, but what the fuck is Elle's problem? Like, Elle's been treating Dave like shit from episode 1 of this season. And it felt like this episode was trying to tell me that they both are at fault somehow. But I feel like Dave has only been trying to connect with Els. You think about episode 1, when Dave runs into him at that party, he's just trying to talk to him, and Els is blowing him off to talk to Kyle Kuzma. Like, okay, that's not cool. That's supposed to be your homie. And then now he's like I felt Dave when he's talking about, like, why the fuck is he asking his manager to ask my manager for something ridiculous, like getting his artist credit because he made the beat. Like, that didn't make sense to me. Like, I felt like Dave had every reason to be pissed about that. Like, Els has already been a dick to this point. Now he's asking for artist credit when all he did was make the beat. And then he doesn't even have the balls to ask Dave directly. Unlike Gata, who had the balls to ask Dave directly for money, even though that's a hard thing to request. And I think the show is drawing a good comparison between Dave's relationship with Els, which Dave values greatly, where Els is not carrying his load of the friendship, with Dave and Gata, in which Dave is not carrying his load of the friendship and Gata is. And Gata's more loyal. Gata's more good. Like, I don't know. It's a great situation, and it's a great dynamic. What the fuck were those kids doing? I don't know what that was. I don't think I want to know what that was. And I think that's what they were going for, was that immediate feeling of, what is this? You know what? I don't even think I want to know. Like, was the person with the shirtless person with the bag on their head, was that an adult or was that another kid? that was just maybe overweight. Like, I don't know, but whatever was going on, I, I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know. If you have a guess, put it in there. But I think we're not meant to know. I think we're meant to ponder it, which is actually a little bit worse. And I asked, what is L's problem? I don't fucking know. Why? I understand the concept of feeling like you can't turn down a dare, but when the dare's to, I can't even believe I'm gonna say this. When the dare is to lick a hamster's pussy, I think it's probably time for you to draw the line and be like, you know what? Every dare doesn't have to get done. We can skip some every now and then, and that's one that should have gotten skipped. I like how the father at the bar mitzvah brings it up, like, what is this about cunnilingus on a marsupial? And Dave's like, actually, a hamster is a rodent, but whatever. I don't like. That's the kind of writing, that's the kind of humor that I love about this show, because like, you have the like really outlandish shit. Like, okay, he's talking about, going down on a hamster. And it's like, okay, what the fuck is that? Like, it's so extreme. But then you also have what I think is like really smart humor, where it, like the fact he corrected him. Like, it wasn't like, oh, it's not what you think. Or, oh, I was just a kid. I shouldn't have said that. Like, there's a million things that Dave could have said in response to that accusation. And his response was to correct marsupial versus rodent. That's the kind of stuff that I think is really, really good on this show. Like this understated humor that's just really clever. And there's another scene that I noticed that I don't even know if people are going to notice because I had the captions on, but like when Dave was sitting with Allie and I forget the Asian girl's name. Fuck. But when they were doing whatever that was they were doing, I don't know, arts and crafts, I don't fucking know. When they were doing that, there's a moment where Dave gets up, walks into a doorway, farts, and comes back. Like, just subtle little things like that. Like, okay, you walked away to fart and then came back. And they didn't acknowledge it. Allie didn't say anything. But like, I see him walk away. I think he's about to go to the bathroom and the caption goes, farts. And you can hear it. And he just walks back. I'm like, he just did that just to not fart in front of them. Like, he just went into a different room to fart and came back. Who writes that? Who thinks to do that? But, man, I thought this was an incredible episode. I'm really interested to see what's going to happen with Els and Dave. I feel like there needs to be some sort of resolution that we didn't get in this episode. Like, I feel like there's something that Els resents him for that maybe I missed in season 1 or forgot about because it's been so long. But I don't know what Els' problem is, but I really like for that to come to a head. Whatever they're doing with Mike, I find really interesting. He's had really interesting reactions to, like I said, the guy who put the note on his trash can, this father at this bar mitzvah. Like, he's responding to, I'm assuming, his loneliness in some very interesting ways. So I'm interested to see where that's going. I hope that this closing moment with Gata rapping his song on his car, I hope this is something that goes well for him. He had to humble himself to ask Dave for money, which they never revisited, by the way. Hopefully this video will go viral for him because they were kids that they were recording on their phones. Hopefully that's something that can go viral for him and maybe he could take off, have his own kind of success. And then maybe we'll see, which I don't want to see, but it would be interesting, a rift between him and Dave over like, okay, now I'm not subservient to you anymore. Now I can do on my own. I got my own money coming in. I can make an album, or I don't need you anymore. And you've been treating me like a second person to Els the whole time, even though Els been treating you like shit. It could make a rift between them. And it all kind of revolves around Dave's narcissism. So you would never think that we would go this deep on a show like Dave. But that's why this show is so good to me, is it's not just extreme humor. There's so much stuff going on with the characters, so much depth, so much tension. And the characters these are just really good characters. And that's why when I compare it to Atlanta, I think that at times this show does things better than Atlanta, because I don't feel like Atlanta is doing anywhere near what Dave is doing with their secondary, tertiary characters. It's like, Donald Glover's character is good. Lakeith Stanfield's character is good. Brian Tyree, fuck, I can't remember his name. But, his character is good. But they don't have that kind of complexity in their relationships that the characters on Dave have. And I think that's what elevates Dave, is the fact that there's so much depth and so much complexity. And it's so interesting to see how these characters interact. You really feel for them. You're really happy for them when things go good. You're sad for them when things go bad. And at the same time, you get fucking hamster pussy and and whatever the fuck else happens, like that fucking alpaca, whatever the fuck, just walking through Gata's performance. Like, I feel like that's some dope shit. Like if you're watching that on TikTok or some shit, right? And you seeing Gata performing on a car, and an alpaca just was like, why the fuck is there an alpaca in the street? Like, like where is he performing at? Like, what kind of like high end shit is this that he's performing in the middle of a street and an alpaca just walks down a residential street? Like what the fuck is this? But yeah, great episode, man. I'm loving this season. I know some people are not, but man, I'm telling you, I'm digging the humor. I'm digging the chances it's taking, and I'm really digging what they're doing with the characters. I think this is a great season, and I'm loving it so far. I look forward to it every week. So speaking of looking forward to it every week, I'll see you guys next week to discuss episode 6. Peace.